Hi again, this is Ma'am Jane, your English teacher, and in this video I will be explaining to you English Quarter 4 Module 2. And remember class that this will be our third module for the fourth quarter, and it is entitled Employing a Variety of Strategies for Effective Interpersonal Communication. So later I will be explaining to you what interpersonal communication is, and under that we have the so-called interview, dialogue, and conversation. So now, let us go on to the what I need to know. In this module, we will be having 3 objectives. So the first one, you will learn to identify the elements of the communication process, followed by determine different strategies for effective interpersonal communication, and the last one, your performance task. First, performance task is you will learn to appreciate the value of interviewing as an information gathering technique, because you will interview as your performance task number 1. Okay, so let us now go on to the discussion part, and that is the what is it part. So we have here again the title of the module. So employ a variety of strategies for effective interpersonal communication. So we have here interview, dialogue, and conversation. So it says we cannot be human alone. So that's the reason why we believe that no man is an island. We live in a world filled with other people. So since we are with other people, so we need to communicate to other people. And the way that we talk to other people will fall under interpersonal communication. So what is interpersonal communication? It is a process by which people exchange information, feelings, and meaning through verbal and non-verbal messages. So later we will be discussing this part again. The main focus of interpersonal communication is that it helps you to create strong relationships with others. So remember, when we say interpersonal communication, is talking to other people, the way how we communicate with other people by exchanging information or sharing your feelings, and through that we can create relationships with them. So a strong relationship with other people. So we have here forms of communication or interpersonal communication. So we have the so-called conversation, number 2 is dialogue, and the last one is interview. So remember class that interpersonal communication is largely dyadic in nature. So when we say dyadic, it occurs between 2 people. For example, you and me, we are talking, but sometimes it is extended to a small group of people with 3 or more number, such as a family. So, and remember that interpersonal communication is face-to-face interaction. But sometimes, since we have pandemic, so it becomes through over the telephone, just like that. Okay, so conversation. So, conversation, it is a spoken exchange of thoughts, opinions, and feelings. And it is casual. When we say casual, informal exchange between 2 people. And sometimes, it is less intimate because sometimes we used to talk to other people which we barely know. For example, we talk to a taho vendor, or we talk to a taxi driver or jeepney driver. So that is called conversation. For example, we ask a question to a security guard asking for a specific direction. So that is just a conversation. On the other hand, when we say dialogue, it is a form of communication formed deepest, most personal, and most intimate relationships. So for example, dialogue between mother and child, or dialogue between classmates, or dialogue between friends. So that is dialogue, because you talk to someone which you know, and you have strong relationships. Next, number 3, we have here interview. So interview is usually uses a question and answer format to achieve specific goals, because you ask question during the interview because you have a purpose to obtain specific information. Or for example, you will undergo job interview because your goal is to have a job. So that is interview. You will ask question and the interviewee will answer. So remember, if you will be the one to ask question, you are the interviewer. And the one that you ask a question, or the one that will answer your question, that is the interviewee. So for you to have an effective interview, you need to make questions beforehand, before the interview. So we have here two questions, or two types of questions. So we have the open-ended questions and the other one is closed-ended questions. So what is the difference between the two? So when we say, I will just explain briefly. So when we say open-ended question, it is a question that allows someone to give a free-form answer. So this question is a question that requires more thought and more than a simple one-word answer. For example, what are you planning to buy at the supermarket? So there are possible or many possible answers to that. So that is open-ended question. And these are the phrases that you can use in the open-ended question. On the other hand, when we say close-ended question, so it is a question with only a yes or no response, no? Or it has limited set of possible answers. For example, this one, are you thirsty? So the possible answer is yes or no. So where do you live? So we only have here limited response, which is the place where you live. For example, I live in Hulo Obando, Bulacan. So that is close-ended. Okay? Next, let us have here the summary between conversation, dialogue, and interview. So in terms of formality, interview is more formal than dialogue and conversation. Now, because in the interview we follow structure, and that structure is through the use of questions. You prepare the question beforehand, before the interview, of course. In terms of intimate, for example, you will talk to someone which you know, that will fall under dialogue. And there is less intimate in conversation and interview, or according to this, no intimacy in conversation and interview. In terms of formality, has a formal purpose, of course, we have here interview, because they are the same. Why do we say formal? Because it is structured. When we say structured, we have flow, we have questions, prepared questions. And the last one, exchange of thoughts. So they are all use exchange of thoughts, because the reason why we communicate is to exchange thoughts, or to exchange ideas and information. So they all use exchange of thoughts. Okay, so I hope everything is clear. Next, let us go on to interpersonal communication skills. It says, interpersonal skills are the skills we use every day when we communicate and interact with other people, both individually and in groups. In interpersonal communication, we developed the following skills. First, we have listening skills. So we learn to listen while we are talking to other people, because we pay close attention to what they are telling to us. And next, we have communication skills. So we develop our communication skills through speaking, through speaking to other people. And also, we use verbal communication. So when we say verbal communication, the use of words. We use words, We use words through talking to other people. On the other hand, when we say non-verbal communication, it is the use of body language, gesture, facial expression to convey information to others. For example, you say hi, hello, that is verbal communication. Remember that. But when you just wave your hand, that is non-verbal. Can you follow? When you say, yes, of course, that is verbal. But when you just nod your head, that is non-verbal. So again, when we say verbal communication with the use of words, no, you will say these words just like, good job, yes, really? So that was heavy. It was, ayan, so he's a doctor but he paints on the side. So all of these are examples of verbal communication. And when we say non-verbal, for example, blinking your eye, waving your hands, you just nod your head, so they are all non-verbal. And the last one, assertiveness. When we say assertiveness, it means standing up for your personal rights in expressing thoughts and feelings. You will explain your side, no, in a respectful way. So that is assertiveness. Next, we have here essential elements of interpersonal communication. So we have here 6 essential elements. So first, we have the communicator. So when we say the communicator, that refers to the sender and the receiver. When we say sender, the one who is talking, and receiver, the one who is listening. Just like in this recorded video, I am the sender and you will be the receiver. Okay? Next, we have here the message. So when we say the message, the idea that I say. For example, in this recorded video, the idea or the message is all about the topic in this module. Next, number 3, when we say feedback, it is the response of the receiver. So for example, when we have face-to-face classes, so your answer in the recitation, that will be the feedback. And next, we have the channel. It refers to the medium through which message is transmitted. So in this case, I use a video recording as a channel to transmit my message to you. And number 5, context is the situation where communication occurs and affects the experience. It is also known as environment. So remember, context is the environment. If we have face-to-face classes, our context is the classroom. No? So that is our environment. And the last one is noise. Of course, the noise. So for example, my dog barks. So that is the noise because it causes distortion to the message that I will send. Okay, so that is, those are essential elements of interpersonal communication. Okay, so we have here example. It says, Sophia texts Rachel, my parents are throwing a birthday party for me this weekend. Please come. When they were in class and Rachel replied, texting, okay, I'll be there. So, of course, if we will apply here, this one, the elements of interpersonal communication, first, the sender of the message, of course, is Sophia because she is the one who texted Rachel. Receiver, of course, is Rachel. And the message is, my parents are throwing a birthday party for me this weekend. Please come. So, noise is all the noise that occurs during that time. When we say feedback, ito, the response of Rachel. And the context, class, yan, emotional situation of Sophia and Rachel. And the channel is the mobile phone or through text. So that is how we distinguish these elements of interpersonal communication. Okay, so I hope everything is clear. In this part, I will be explaining the activities that you are going to answer. So first, we have here independent activity number 1. So what are you going to do? All you need to do is to analyze this dialogue and then answer this question. Okay. Next, we have here independent assessment number 1. So we have example conversation here, conversation number 1, and we have conversation number 2. Then, based on that conversation, no need to answer this one, you will answer this. So, what is, or kindly give me example of verbal communication that is used in these two conversations. And then, kindly give me non-verbal communication. Do you think someone waved his hand in this conversation? Ayan. So, do you think someone blinked his eye in this conversation? You will write here. And if they speak, they talk with the use of words, so you will write it here. Okay? Example. So, we have your example. Just answer 5. No? 5. For example, you have 3 answers here and 2 answers here. Or 4 answers here and 1 answer here. It's okay. Next, let us have independent activity number 2. So, we have here again the dialogue between 2 friends, Ruel and Emmy. So, what are we going to do? You will list down the different strategies that encourage communication used in the conversation, just like, how are you? Okay? Just like this one, is that so? Yan. Okay, so, what else? Just like this one. So, just give me or just write at least 5 strategies that encourage communication. So, that is for this activity. Next, based on the dialogue again between Roel and Emmy, you will answer this one. Who do you think is the sender? Who is the receiver? What is the message? What do you think is the noise? What do you think is the feedback or the answer of the receiver, the context, and the channel? So, you will write the answer here. And independent assessment number 2, we have here pictures of 2 persons talking. All you need to do is to write dialogues in the dialogue box. Yan, write dialogue. And this one, all you need to do is to check. No, try to identify if it is an open-ended question or close-ended. Or if you like, no, since you will not copy this one, so just write 1 to 10 and then write, is it open-ended question or close-ended question. And independent assessment number 3, write a conversation with at least 6 of the phrases given below. Just like, for example, this one, nice to meet you. Hi Rona, it's nice to meet you. So that is conversation. All you need to do is to use at least 6 in this particular phrases in writing your conversation. Okay, so I hope everything is clear. If you have questions, you can message me or you can send your question in our group chat. Okay, take care everyone.